Hello, pizza friends. Welcome to another episode of The Hot Slice. I'm creative director Josh Keown.
And I am executive editor Denise Greer.
Denise, we have a great young pizza maker slash owner slash operator on the show today, Nicole Bean at Pizaro's Pizza in Houston, Texas.
Oh, I love Nicole. Nicole is an inspiration. You know, she came into her family's business and actually ended up running the business after a little bit of time. So she's got a lot of insights.
What's great is like she kind of didn't want to be in the business at first, and then it kind of got a hold of her, and she's super passionate about it now. So
yeah, and even the pizza making, I mean, she is a competitor. She wants to make the best pizza, and with her restaurant, I mean, she has 2 locations. And they have multiple styles, and I just love that. It started out as a Neapolitan restaurant, and then she kind of diversified into all of these other styles because it just made sense for her customer base. So I think that's pretty cool.
Right, I'm loving all the pizzerias that are going to multiple styles now. It's a good choice to have. So, all right, everybody, sit back and listen to Nicole Bean.
Hey everyone, it's Katie, art director at Pizza Today, here to interrupt your podcast with a short commercial break. Figuring out how to do delivery right can be a daunting task, especially when it comes to third-party platforms, in-house delivery, contactless solutions, and POS functionality. Fortunately, the innovators at PDQ have developed the Delivery Toolkit app, a convenient single source that can measurably enhance all aspects of delivery while saving time, effort, and costs. Rooted in metrics, the multi-integrated PDQ Delivery Toolkit is a must-have resource for your store. Learn why at pdqdt.com or call 877-968-6430. That's 877-968-6430. And now, back to the slice.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hot Slice. We are joined today by a brilliant pizza maker, world pizza champion, team member, and owner of Pizaro's Pizza in Houston, Texas, Nicole Bean. Nicole, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today. How's it going?
Great. How are you guys?
We're, still working from home and doing podcasts from home and doing magazines from home, but we're all good right now. We're happy and healthy.
Absolutely.
Good. Glad to hear.
Wonderful. Excellent. Okay, Nicole. So, I was supposed to do a seminar with you at Expo. Are you? Did you miss Expo?
Unbelievably. I mean, Expo every year is honestly like one of my favorite times because the pizza community is unlike anything else I've ever experienced in my life. So that time for me is really special because I get to spend that time with basically like a second family. It's not just friends anymore. Everyone's become sort of this little pizza community family, and we're always, wondering or checking in or, kind of in everybody else's business all the time. So it sucks to not, be able to see people when you want to.
I went through that whole week. I was really in the dumps the entire week that we were supposed to be at Expo because I was just like, some part of me is missing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're having like serious FOMO.
Right.
Well, you literally have a family thing going on with your pizzeria. Why don't you just give us kind of a brief overview of what you have there at Pizaro's?
So my pizzeria started with my family. It originated in my family's kitchen because my dad was obsessed with trying to get a wood fire burning oven in the backyard.
Oh, nice.
And it really just kind of spiraled out of control, honestly. And we were sitting at the dinner table over pizza, and he goes, "I'm going to quit my job." He had been in the oil and gas industry for, I don't know, 30, 35 years, something crazy like that. He'd been in the industry for a long time. And we were like, what the hell is wrong with you? But
how old was he at that point?
Late 40s, early 50s. And so, he's probably the 50s because he's like 65 now. Yeah. So probably 50 something. But we thought he was crazy, but we knew the product was good enough. So we were like, yeah, you're crazy, but I think it's going to work. And that's kind of how it all started. And then I got wrangled into it, even though I didn't want to be a part of it in the first place. But I got wrangled back into it about a year after they opened the initial
So what kind of brought
location.
you into it? Like what was the thing that was just like, okay, I'm sold now?
It wasn't necessarily like I'm sold now. It was more along the lines like my dad called me one day, and I had moved. At the time we were living in Austin, I had moved to Atlanta to continue pursuing my career in fashion merchandising. And I got a call one day, and my dad's like, we're going to open a second location. Really need your help. You want to come in and join them the same? I was like, I don't know. And there was a lot of hesitation. And my husband, Brad, which you guys all know, was like, you're an idiot if you don't do this. And I was like, okay. So I made Brad a promise. I said, if I'm doing this, you're doing it with me. And so we both quit our jobs and moved to Houston. And it's been kind of all, I guess, downhill from there.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it.
Well, and you not only went into the family business, you went all in. Like you are now, you're an industry pro that people look to. Like you jumped in with both feet and just grabbed a hold of it. What about it made you kind of go in with both feet?
I think just the thought process of, I'm doing this to help my family, but on top of that, one, like it was a fun job. It was something new. I really enjoy being challenged, and I really enjoy learning new things. So for me, there was like, okay, I have a lot to learn, and clearly my parents need help, and they've been working their butts off, like, almost 60 hours a week. So like, I'm here to help. And, I learned everything as fast as I possibly could. My dad really just threw me in there and was like, you got to meet this person. You got to meet this person, talk to this person. Oh, and this person does that. And I'm like, what is going on? And the first Friday night that we ever experienced, there was a line out the door for hours.
Wow. That's a trial by fire for sure.
Yeah. And so I think that was kind of like the awakening that was like, I got to get my shit together, because if I don't,
you're going to drown.
I'm not going to be able to handle any of this. Yeah. And so, I don't really do anything half-ass, unless I'm doing something at my own house. I'm like, I'll take it. But I really don't like to let the grass grow underneath my feet. So when I do something, I want to do it wholeheartedly. And I found that I really enjoy it, and it's a creative thing, and I'm very hands-on. And so, I kind of took it by the horns and have really been striving to really understand and figure it out.
So
since day one.
So when Pizaro started, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys started out with just Napoletana style pizza, right? And you've kind of
Correct.
Went to Detroit and New York style since then. So what kind of brought that on, and what was the thinking behind that?
So we initially brought Neapolitan to Houston, and we have been, and still to this day, continue to educate people on what Neapolitan pizza is. And so, on a daily basis, people would ask for pineapple. They'd ask for it to be crispier. They'd ask for, jalapenos and this and that. And it was a never-ending, question of, do you have this? Do you have this? Can you do this? Can I have the pizza bigger? And I was like, no,
right.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Can I have 18 meats on here?
Right. Yeah. People just wanted to literally throw everything they possibly could on this style of pizza, and it just was impossible to do. I mean, there were pizzas that we would send out sometimes when we would make exceptions that we were just like, God, we know that pizza's going to come back. That
it's going to absolutely collapse as soon as they try to pick it up.
Exactly. Yeah. So we had gone to the Caputo Cup, which was originally in New York, and it was held in Brooklyn at Neapolitan Express, and that was the first time that Matt, my brother, and I had ever met Tony Gimignani, and he was doing a little demonstration of grandma style pizza, and my brother and I just looked at each other. We're like, what the hell is this thing? It is
Right.
amazing.
That's what I
And
thought about.
yeah, I distinctly remember, going up to Tony after it was all said and done, and I was like, look, this is really fantastic. And he goes, you liked it? And I said, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I've never had anything like this. And he was like, yeah, it was okay. I mean, I could have done this and that better. And I just thought, like, this guy's been on TV. Like, he's a humble bug. Like, that's crazy. I've never experienced anything like that. I thought he was going to be a real jerk. Um, so that's when we kind of decided to start looking into different styles. And Detroit was kind of the next thing that we were like, this is kind of a hot thing that's coming up. We can feel it. It's different. No one knows about it. And it fed directly into that same line of educating people about pizza that we were doing with Neapolitan.
And as far as the education goes, I noticed on your website and on your social medias that you guys actually put up videos actually on your website of educating your customers on each style of pizza.
Yes, that's a new feature that we just started, I think back in April. Like, as COVID started happening, I went on this crazy spree with QR codes. And so we had posted these QR codes with these videos that we have on our website for people who were going to be dining. And we're like, well, let's just post these things so people can see, because they can't come in. Because we have on our walls, we have a picture of each style and then a description below it. And so when you take the customer outside of your visual introduction to it, it really causes a lot of hiccups and people don't know what to expect.
So where were you putting these QR codes at?
On our windows, like outside of the door, because people were still getting out of their cars. You can't keep people in their car. They don't want to be told what to do.
Stay put.
So, yeah, basically, you're like, please stay in your car. And they're like, what? Get out of the door? What? And so I was like, all right, we've got these QR codes with these visual videos on our windows. Let's feature it on our website too, because we get a bunch of website hits and people will just kind of wander around it. So I figured, you know what, let's add that visual element into it, since we don't want to tie up our phone lines any further than we have to. This is a good idea. So that's kind of what we've done, is kind of given that visual element outside of the store.
Gotcha.
Hey everyone, it's Katie, Art Director at Pizza Today, here to interrupt your podcast with a short commercial break. Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high-quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide. Your friends at Message on Hold are happy to introduce our voice-over IP service. Message on Hold Phones is our solution for phone service. If the internet goes down, it's no problem. You can still take online and phone orders. No busy signal ever. Professionally recorded, customized messaging for your business ensures that your customer gets the message that you want delivered to them every time. Save money and get new phones. Visit www.messageonholdservice.com/phones. And now, back to the slice.
Now, you've competed several times, and in fact, you won a pretty big award a couple years ago. Can you tell us how about that interest that because you've kind of gotten the bug that your dad had for perfecting your styles and competing. Can you share a little bit more about that with us?
Sure. I watched my brother compete a couple times, and I was kind of shoulder to shoulder with Laura Meyer one day at competition, and she's like, when are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know, probably never. And she's like, you're just going to sit here and watch your brother compete all the time? And so I was like, I guess so. She's like, well, why don't you do it? I mean, like, you know what you're doing. Just get out there and do it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And so I finally bit the bullet, and I did in Atlantic City, the first competition, and I took Detroit because I was like, I'm gonna do something easier, for me to kind of prep and take, and I'll go a little bit crazy with my toppings and see what happens. and I was nervous as could be. I was like cold sweating, and Scott Wiener was up there with me, thank God. But
He's a
he
calming
kept
influence for
me
sure.
Yeah.
yeah, he kind of kept me pretty cool. Like during the whole thing, my hands were still shaking, putting cheese on, you know. But I think after I got done and I saw the results, I was kind of like, I can do this. This isn't that bad. I just need to shake the jitters off. You know, it's like first time jitters. I
Right.
just need to get out there and do it
I mean,
again
you're just making pizza, something you do, a million times a day. Yeah. So.
every day.
Competition
Every
pizza
day.
is very different, correct?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Competition with pizza is so much different. You know, it's one thing for your customer to sit there and watch you make pizza because we have an open kitchen concept, so it's kind of like being in a fishbowl. You got people watching all the time, but it's a different.
Well,
I don't know. It's a different feeling when other pizza makers are watching you make
also, a lot of the
pizza.
time, the competition pizzas aren't something you're serving in your restaurant. You maybe made them just a few times, so it's something completely new. So that's another added element
Yeah.
to the nervousness.
That in the oven, because it's not your typical oven.
Right.
It's not, what you're used to using.
And the temps
I mean,
fluctuating all the time and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of elements
very
out there.
much so. Yes, so many different elements, especially for Neapolitan, because if you're used to wood fire and then you go to the gas oven, it's a whole nother
Yeah.
world.
I can definitely imagine. Well, I kind of want to switch gears a little bit, with your business being such a family dynamic. What are the roles like amongst your family? Where are your strengths? Where are your family members' strengths? And kind of how do you guys balance that?
There's kind of always been a little bit of a power struggle, because your parents are kind of like, the upper echelon of the family. And, when my parents were still in the business, they are retired now. But when they were in the business, the family dynamic still held true even within the business. Mom and dad make the rules and we're living in their house, so we had to follow by them. And, my dad, wasn't feeling well a couple years ago, and he decided that he was going to kind of step back from being in the restaurant every single day, as many hours. And he was like, I'm going to provide you with this new task. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'm not going to be here every day all day. I'll come and check in, but you're now going to be responsible.
You're like,
And
what?
I was not sure how to handle that because I'm the youngest of, the kids. There's three of us, and my two brothers. One of them is not in the business, but the other brother is. And I was like, I just don't know how Matt's going to feel about this. And
Right.
of course, he didn't take it very well. But, I tried to take the reins, and me being the person that I am, I'm going to do everything and like take the reins of it. But my dad was still like wanting to be in charge. So there was a bit of that power struggle. And then obviously dealing with my brother, not handling it well. And so that was kind of a power struggle. And, obviously my husband is very easygoing about it. He wants me to be successful, and I kind of bestow him the lovely pleasure of taking on all the other fun tasks that I don't want to do. And so we've kind of divided a lot of the responsibilities between myself and Brad and my brother Matt. I handle all the social media, emails, anything that's kind of big picture. Yeah. And then my brother, I've put in charge of all of our beer and wine and kind of food, basically food and beverage. He's in charge of making sure that, flavor profiles, consistency, new products are being executed properly. And then Brad likes to take care of the maintenance side, that he does like doing that. I didn't stick that with him. He was like, no, I want to do that.
By all means, go for it, buddy.
So he does, yes. So he does take care of that. And he's in charge of like all the vendors. And he's basically solely responsible for the management teams at each location, just making sure that whatever Matt decides as far as execution on pizzas, that is being upheld consistently at both locations.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you have the two locations. Are you guys in both locations a lot? Or is Matt kind of in one and you're kind of in the other? How's that working out?
Yes. So we kind of split one day at the other store. I live 7 minutes from one location, and my brother lives like 5 minutes from the other location. So in order for us not to spend a bazillion dollars on gas every week, we say, okay, we're going to go to each store once a week for the whole day. Like that's our day at this store. And so we can kind of visually see if there's any inconsistencies going on, but also since Matt's in charge of food and beverage, he makes sure that both stores are equipped with enough beer and wine, and that any of the pizzas are made consistently. So he's kind of eyeing all that stuff, and then I get to take care of all the fun back of house stuff that paperwork
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets.
So how many employees do you guys have?
Overall, we've taken in some more employees, thankfully. We still need a couple more, but I think we have a total of probably like 25, including our drivers
Oh,
now.
wow.
Yeah. So, we're still pretty small.
Were you guys delivering pre-COVID-19?
We were, but through
third
party.
So now you have your own drivers, though? Oh, good.
Yes. So we are finally doing what I set out to do this year, and that is get rid of third party.
Good. So yeah, so you're, and like I said, delivery is going to be here for a while now. It's going to be a mainstay, so it's good to jump on it.
How
Absolutely.
how are you processing the whole delivery system? What do you have in place with your delivery program?
So when we initially started, which was late March, early April, when we hired our first driver at each location, we kind of came in at a lower delivery rate. We also offered a promotional discount for anybody ordering through our website for our personal delivery, trying to kind of counteract those people ordering through a third party. But right now what we're doing is we're, trying to make those deliveries faster than any other delivery service. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not, just depending on, if it's a Friday night, it's almost impossible to under deliver. Friday night's extremely busy, but what we do have going for us is that we're trying to attempt to take no more than 2 deliveries at a time. So that way we can kind of get that delivery out and back versus what third party's doing, which is they'll pick up, Sandy's order and then Jimmy's order and then Becky's order if it's within the radius, and then they'll take them and God knows, how long it's been sitting in their car or what's going on with that.
With no pizza warmer whatsoever. It's just the box.
Yeah, just the box. And, horror stories with third parties, I've had people get boxes of pizza flipped upside down.
Oh.
I've had people drink out of, their beverages.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
So, so, with, your own delivery, you can control it and you can control the product. So, that's just definitely the way to go.
Something I'm thinking about is, what kind of struggles have you had with instituting the new program, and how have you been able to overcome those?
It's been a little bit of a challenge. We installed like the DoorDash drive it was an integration with our Revention POS system. And that was a struggle in the first place, just to get that to operate correctly. And once we kind of figured that system out, we were like, yeah, this is going to be super easy for having our own drivers. So when we did implement our first driver, there's that first kind of hiccup of, oh God, what if we mess this up? But it went perfectly fine. It's been very smooth. We've only had small little issues like we forgot the arugula or we missed a salad on one of the orders, but
That's not
typically,
bad.
No, not at all.
yeah, it's been pretty smooth, and each store has a limited amount of drivers, so it's not like you're wondering who took
Yeah.
that pizza or who took that order because they're all dispatched to a specific person.
Yeah, and I think about like the fact that you guys are doing this on the fly, that, sometimes these programs take, 6 months or a year to develop, and you guys are like, I'm gonna, turn this around in a day or two or a week. Hats off to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was the goal for this year, is to get rid of third party, and we were just like, how are we going to do this? It's going to be a slow roll, trying to get people to convert over. And honestly, this kind of opened a huge gap, and we were like, let's do it now.
So it was a goal going into 2020 was to do that anyway. Oh, okay.
Yes, to completely rid of, because we were using 3 different third parties, and we cut Grubhub off immediately cold turkey back in late March, when they kind of sent that huge email to customers basically saying the restaurants will pay for all of the customers' deliveries. And we were like, no, we're not, and you're done.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of been slow rolling off of DoorDash, which is the next big one. Still kind of getting some customer insight on, why people go to DoorDash versus, using in-house delivery. So that's been some really interesting insight there. And then the other one is kind of like a local third party, but they don't do as much. So we're kind of starting to see people wean off of that specific third party anyway. So we're not on a platform with them. It's more of kind of, they come in, they order, they pay with a card.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, with your 2 locations, as you kind of move forward, I know it's really hard right now to plan and think about, what's next. But have you looked into, where Pizzaro's is going to be, after this settles?
Yeah, I mean, the Houston market is really, I think teetering is the best word to use right now. We've seen a lot of restaurants and even like local large chains that have, 8 to 10 restaurants or locations kind of crumbling at the moment. So it's been really difficult to watch that happen. But, we're in a very good little, I guess, comfort zone where people eat pizza.
Yeah.
And it's easy
Right.
to deliver.
I've said it before. It's like everybody gets pizza once a week, no matter what. So
yeah, I think we're just very fortunate in what we're doing, and on top of it, we do offer multiple styles, so it kind of gives us a little bit of a leg up. But I think at the end of it all, I think that there's room for growth, whether that be a new location or maybe a straight delivery option. We're seeing, obviously delivery is the wave of the future. And, talking with John Arena, we've kind of discussed, you have to cater to the customer. And if the customer wants to have it delivered, then by all means, you need to figure out how to deliver it to the customer.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys have went above and beyond with that, with all the styles that you had. I would kill for one of those in Louisville, Kentucky right now to have all those styles.
I mean, it's one of those things. I still want to grow more. I want to add more styles, but I keep getting dirty looks from everybody.
How many ovens are you rocking in there right now?
We have 2 ovens at one location, and we have 3 ovens at the other location. One of them has 2 wood fire ovens and a Pizza Master. And the other one, we have a wood fire Forza Forni and another Pizza Master.
Yeah. Now, your Montrose location, we had talked a couple of years ago about that you had moved that location, within, not even a mile of each other. When you transitioned that location, how has that really helped with your efficiencies?
Yeah, well, our
Or
memorial location,
Memorial. Yeah.
they both start with M, so everybody gets confused. It's totally fine. I do it myself. uh, but yes, our memorial location, we did move, gosh, almost 2 years ago now. It's been that long.
I
Gosh,
know.
Denise. Um, yeah, that transition has still gone over really, really well. In fact, we're still getting people who haven't visited us in almost 2 years. They're like, when did you move? And we're like, 2 years ago. They're like, oh my gosh, really? And we're like, where have you been? But um, funny story, actually, in that old location where we were, a new pizzeria is now
Oh,
in there.
wow.
So that's really interesting that another pizzeria literally moved in. They didn't change anything other than like the cosmetics. They kept everything in place. They even put their oven in the same place
Oh, wow.
ours was. But the transition has gone over really, really well. And I think people are very satisfied with one, that they get all three styles now, but two, that there's more seating. And the location is a little bit more convenient for most people because we are on a feeder road, so it's easy access.
That's
So,
awesome.
so one of my favorite things that I actually saw on your menu on the PDF online was your classes that you have available, and I thought it was really cool that you actually had that on your menu. So I mean, you can have a dough class, cheese class, oven training, pizza making, team building, all that stuff. So, uh, is that a recent thing that you guys started, and how did that come about?
No, not recent. We've been doing classes for 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been doing them for a while, and this year we revamped the menu and added on the oven training class to it. And then we even are doing like multiple options with that. So we've kind of given like discounts if you put classes together. So if you take a dough class and an oven class, you can combine those classes into one for a discount.
Okay, cool.
So we kind of created a couple different options that aren't featured on that PDF, just because there's not enough space. But we do give a lot of people options to kind of create their own personalized class. And right now with COVID going on, we're only doing like singular groups. So if you have a group of 4 that's like your
Mm-hmm.
family, no one else is allowed to come in the class with you for right now, based on the COVID policies. And then we are requiring masks during classes. But typically, outside of COVID, we were doing, whoever wanted to sign up for the class on Saturday morning could come and take it. So if we had, 2 people from 2 different, families, it was fine. But now, we
Of
kind of have
course.
to be a little bit more careful.
So what would, like, let's just say for a dough class, for instance, what would we expect when we went to a dough class of you?
So for a dough class, I go specifically into
Mm-hmm.
Neapolitan for my dough classes, just because I find that, one, it's the easiest recipe, but two, it's the most challenging to work with once you start stretching it. So during the dough class, we make everything from scratch. So we start with the flour and start building it in the mixer, and we make about 5 pounds, because that's like the least amount my mixer will handle. And so we go through the full mixing process. We talk about the fermentation, why we include the ingredients in a specific order. Then we roll the dough balls together, and I kind of show them how to close the dough ball properly, how to store it, what to expect with fermentation, how long to ferment it, whether it's cold or room temperature. And then we go into pulling the dough ball into a blank. So we kind of push that dough ball out, and we work on techniques of, stretching. So I show them a couple different technique options and give them the opportunity to stretch multiple dough balls so they get comfortable with it. And then they get to make their own pizza. And at the end of the class, they get to eat a pizza that they made. I didn't touch it at all whatsoever. They make the entire pizza themselves.
Very cool.
And then I send them home with whatever dough they want. So if they want all 5 pounds of dough, they get all of it.
Oh,
Oh,
so
wow.
that night, they can have their own little pizza party that night. So that's great.
Exactly. I mean, I think the best thing about it is like usually about 5 pounds of dough, they're getting, anywhere between 12 and 16 dough balls. And so that's plenty to one, practice stretching out with, but two, like you can have a
A
pizza
really
party if
good
you
pizza
wanted to.
party.
Yeah, show off to your friends and family. You can use it for, whatever you want to. And it's kind of an expensive class, but I think that for us, it's one of those situations where we're providing you with a recipe. You also get, that hands-on training because I really don't do a whole lot. I'm just kind of walking
Mhm.
you through it.
Well, that's the
And
best way to
then
learn.
you
So,
get,
Yeah.
yeah, you get all that dough, and then you get that experience, and you take it home, and you've got all that extra stuff with you. So yes, it is expensive, but it's an experience versus anything else.
I think one of the things that really impresses me about you is that you are willing to share your craft. You're sharing it with your community. You're teaching your staff, and you're also mentoring other pizza makers, and especially the leadership role that you've taken with women and inspiring women. And I'm really sad that we didn't get to do our session at Pizza Expo, because I really wanted to talk to you about women's role in pizza and just how you're trying to empower other women in the industry.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. Thank you. It's definitely interesting to be a woman, especially in the pizza industry, because people don't expect for you, one, to be in a leadership role
Mm-hmm.
or be in charge or even know anything about anything. Um, I had a really eye-opening moment on Sunday, and this little girl, she couldn't have been maybe 3, and she was getting pizza with her dad, and she was so excited about her cheese pizza. And she looked at me and she goes, "Why is there a girl in the kitchen? Why is a girl making pizza?" And I really didn't know how to feel about that. I was like, "Man, this little girl is, only 3, and she's questioning why there's a woman making pizza." And I I don't even know how to feel about it. And her dad was like, "Well, she can make pizza too." And so I hope when she kind of gets a little bit older, she understands that anybody can make anything that they want to. But I think that there's just a stigma of men being pizza
Mhm.
makers.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like when you find another woman in the industry, you kind of just cling to them and you're like, "Please stay, please keep working, please, show people that we can do this just as good, if not better than any man in the industry." And so, I've got a couple females at one of my locations, and been been working really hard with them on, how to do everything, because I don't want them to just come in and be like, "Oh, I just make pizza." No, I want you to learn everything, because if you're going to be in my kitchen, you need to learn how to do everything, because if you want to be in a kitchen anywhere else, you have to assert some kind of, not necessarily dominance, but in a way dominance of like, "Hey, I can do
Right. You know what you're
this.
doing.
I can do anything." Yeah, I can do anything that you ask me to do. If I don't know how to do it, I need you to show me, and then from there on out, I can do it myself.
Absolutely. Um, and are there any mentor moments that you've had in your life, with other people kind of showing you the ropes and inspiring you to do what you do?
All the time. Literally everybody. I'm always learning something new. It doesn't matter who it's from. I think I have a lot of mentors in the industry in general. Derek Sanchez is one. He's always teaching me about, the science behind dough. um, Chris Decker is literally the most beautiful pizza maker. Like, he makes the most beautiful pizzas I've ever seen in my life. So it's always, fun to kind of chat with him and kind of pick his brain on, why he and how he does what he makes.
We
Laura Meyer and
we
Audrey
spoke with him last
Kelly.
week, so yeah, we got to pick his brain.
Yeah. He's just
I'm sorry I
he's just a
interrupted. You said
phenomenal.
Laura Meyer and
Oh no,
Audrey Kelly.
Laura Meyer and Audrey Kelly. I mean, they're all fantastic pizza makers. I was talking to Derek Sanchez yesterday, and he was up in Boulder last week, and I was like, don't you just love Audrey's pizza? Like, you would crave it. I don't know what she's doing to her pizza. She's putting crack inside of it or what, but it is fantastic. Just the fermentation of it, it's great. I mean, she's a bread maker for me. Like, she understands like what the flavor profile should be, and it's beautiful. Like, I don't know what she's doing to her pizza, but it's fantastic. And I just like, even just this cheese pizza is fantastic from her.
That's awesome.
I don't know if y'all have y'all been to Audrey's yet?
No,
we have. There were so many places we were getting to this
we
year,
need to
and
get to your place.
devastated.
I mean, there's
your place, Audrey's place. You know, there was a lot of places we wanted
and
to
now
get to
with
this year, and
COVID,
it's
the
just,
list is growing because we're not able to travel as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, she makes fantastic pizza, and there's, like I said, there's a lot of like mentors I feel that kind of teach you every single day, even if they're not even showing you pizza. It's just something that they said in an interview, or they told you over the phone or via text, whatever it is. There's something to be learned by someone every single day.
Well, I think that's a great way to end this podcast. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you soon at a show or something.
Or
maybe
in her spot.
something. So yeah, or in your spot. Anyway, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Hopefully I'll see you
Okay,
soon.
bye, Nicole.